Most people think one of these is clearly safer than the other, but the truth is, the answer isn't that simple. For years, bottled water has been seen as the cleaner, more reliable option. It's sealed, portable, and feels controlled. On the other hand, tap water often raises concerns about pipes, infrastructure, and local conditions. So people naturally ask, which one is actually safer? To answer that, you need to look beyond the surface, because both options come with advantages, and both come with limitations that aren't always obvious. Let's start with tap water. In most developed areas, tap water goes through a treatment process before it reaches your home. This process is designed to remove harmful contaminants and make the water safe according to established guidelines. At the source, it's usually tested regularly and monitored under strict standards, but here's where things change. Once that water leaves the treatment facility, it travels through a network of pipes before it reaches your faucet. And those pipes can vary in age, condition, and material. As water moves through them, it can pick up substances along the way, especially if the infrastructure is older or not well maintained. This means the water that arrives at your tap may not be exactly the same as when it left the treatment plant, and that creates a layer of uncertainty. Now let's look at bottled water. At first glance, it seems like a more controlled product. It's packaged, labeled, and sold as a finished item. You don't have to think about pipes or infrastructure, but bottled water also has its own process. It starts from a source, sometimes a natural spring, sometimes a municipal supply. From there, it may be filtered, treated, or adjusted before being sealed in plastic or glass containers. So in some cases, bottled water is not fundamentally different from tap water, it's just processed differently and packaged. Then comes storage. Unlike tap water, which flows directly when you need it, bottled water can sit for long periods. It may be stored in warehouses, transported across distances, and kept on shelves before it reaches you. During that time, environmental factors like heat and light can affect the bottle and its contents. Most bottles are designed to be stable, but over time, small interactions between the packaging and the water can occur. Again, this doesn't mean bottled water is unsafe, but it shows that it's not free from variables. Now let's compare the two more directly. Tap water is consistent in source but variable in delivery. Bottled water is consistent in packaging but variable in origin and storage. Both systems rely on processes that are mostly out of your direct control. With tap water, the uncertainty often comes from the final stage, your local infrastructure and plumbing. With bottled water, the uncertainty comes from earlier stages, source selection, processing, and storage conditions. So when people ask which one is safer, they're often expecting a clear winner, but safety, in this case, depends on context. Where do you live? What is the condition of your local infrastructure? How is the bottled water stored and handled before you use it? These factors matter more than the category itself. Another important point is perception. Many people trust bottled water because it feels more controlled. It's sealed, it has a label, and it's sold as a product, but that perception doesn't always reflect complete transparency. Labels can tell you the source or type, but they don't show the full journey, from collection to storage to delivery. On the other hand, tap water is often taken for granted or viewed with skepticism, especially when people are aware of infrastructure issues, but in many cases, it is regularly tested and monitored at the source. So both options involve a mix of trust and assumptions, and that leads to a deeper question. Is the goal to choose one over the other, or is the goal to understand your water well enough that you don't have to rely entirely on either? Because when you rely only on bottled water, you depend on a supply chain you don't control. When you rely only on tap water, you depend on infrastructure you don't fully see. In both cases, you're still trusting a system. This brings us to the key insight: safety doesn't come from the label, tap or bottled. It comes from understanding what affects your water, and reducing the unknowns. That's why more people are shifting their approach. Instead of choosing sides, they're focusing on visibility and control. They start by learning about their local water conditions. In some cases, that means reviewing reports or doing basic testing at home. From there, they look at ways to improve consistency. For some, that means using filtration systems that target specific concerns. For others, it involves exploring alternative setups that allow them to adjust and monitor their water more directly. The goal is not to replace one system blindly. It's to reduce uncertainty, because when you reduce uncertainty, you make better decisions. And when you make better decisions, the question of which is safer becomes less important than what works best for my situation. So, tap water versus bottled water, what's safer? The honest answer is, it depends. Each option has strengths, each has limitations, and neither one is a complete solution on its own. What matters most is how much you understand about the water you're using, and what steps you take to manage it. If you've been relying on one option without really questioning it, this might be a good moment to take a closer look, because small adjustments can make a big difference over time. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing for more practical and straightforward breakdowns like this. And if you want to go a step further and explore how some people are improving water quality at home with simple, structured methods, there's a resource in the description that walks through one of these approaches step by step. It can help you understand your options and decide what makes sense for your situation.